Hey y'all, welcome to Cut and Uncut with Daphne and Bonnie Violet. My name is Daphne and I'm cut.
And I'm Bonnie Violet and I'm Uncut, where we talk about all things trans.
And then some.
And this week we're going to be focusing on pop culture and spirituality.
We also want to give a big shout out and a thank you to our Patreon members. Skylar Bean, Jacob Blankenship, Elizabeth, Danielle Loyal, and Bertha D. Thank you and hugs and kisses.
And, watch us on YouTube, listen to us on Spotify, join us on Patreon, follow us on TikTok, and get that merch. The links are in the description.
I know, I'm excited, Bonnie, because ours is in the mail, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we should get my pillow's going to come first, I think, and then we should get our mugs. Hopefully by next week, we'll be able to sport them.
Sweet. I'm all about it.
Yes. I feel like we're missing, forgetting something. Are we forgetting something? And we're live, so.
No, I think we got everything.
Yeah.
It was because it went too smooth. So.
I know, right? Well, we've been going at it for a little while, because we're for folks who are joining us, we're shooting behind the scenes now too. So, which I'm going to turn off that camera right now.
Yeah, we are on our fourth episode now, Bonnie. Is this what we're doing today?
Yes, we are on our fourth episode, so we are about 25%. We're through our season, about a quarter way through our season. We're planning on doing a 12-week season for folks who may or may not be aware of that, which is about 3 months. So
make sure you come and join us, subscribe to us, and become a part of our family, because we also want to.
Do you want to hear something hilarious this week that happened in regards to our promos?
Sure.
There's how we go, watch on YouTube, listen to Spotify. So my roommate Frida, she's sitting on the couch across from me, and she goes, watch me on YouTube, listen to me on Spotify. She's just shooting off all these things because it's a lot. And it was just hilarious. I'm like, you bitch, but also it's hilarious. I thought it was the funniest thing ever. How have you been hearing from folks about the podcast?
Yes, I have. I have a couple of coworkers and friends that I've shared the podcast with, and are super excited. For instance, one of them are like, "Oh, tonight's the night! I'm super excited." And then another one is like, "Oh, are you on tonight? I'm gonna watch."
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit, slowly but surely we're climbing up that hill.
Mm-hmm. And we did have a couple of comments on our social media this week as well, good ones.
What'd you hear? What'd they say?
Well, I shared them with you. There was the one on YouTube where a grandmother had come across one of our episodes and shared with us that her grandson was trans, and that her and her family were super supportive of him, and all that sort of, and encouraged us to keep doing what we're doing, and blessed us and all that fun stuff. And so yeah, it was really super sweet. And then there was another one I sent you, but I don't remember what it was about.
Oh, I think it was about, they were reminiscing about one of the Baton Show Lounge. Is that the one you were talking about?
Oh, yes. There was somebody who lives in Pocatello, Idaho, of all places, who was they actually because we talked about in our first episode about kind of coming up and both of us had our introductions to trans community in Chicago, the Baton Lounge. And so this person was like, oh my God, me too. So that was really kind of cool to, just to make that random connection,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get to it, Bonnie. What is pop culture, Bonnie? Let's just get that out there first. Because, I'm feeling I really don't know the lingo.
Just to make it easy, pop culture is what's popular in culture.
Popping.
And that's its own culture. And I know we've been talking a lot about I feel like a lot of our first episodes were kind of thick and kind of a little woo woo, and talking about our spirituality and our history. And I know we're wanting to kind of have fun with this a little bit more and talk about, just not always be talking about heavy stuff. And so thought this might be a nice way to kind of jump from spirituality to, in recovery and stuff, to kind of a more, I don't know, playful space maybe. So talking about pop culture and spirituality. I also think it just seems really palpable right now, those two things in very different ways.
Okay.
What were your thoughts on it?
Well, if I can, Bonnie, let me take a sip
Oh,
from the Wonder Woman cup, because
I
I
know,
have
right?
to always put her out there.
And I got my jar.
So I took the liberty, because I'm a Virgo.
Oh,
I want to read from one of fashion's biggest nights. Oh, sorry, that's not the name of it. Trending pop culture. So some of this pop culture, Kelly Rowland teases new music and reacts to Beyonce's country album. Honey,
I'm
just when
excited
you
about.
think she had reached her plateau, baby, what did she do?
I love it. I think it's everything. It's all over TikTok. There's so many like TikTok dances.
Because I was sitting, because I would think I was working or something. I was doing something, and I saw some snippets of her outfit, because I love fashion. I went to school for all of that. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at her in this bedazzled cowboy outfit. Like, who is that? She what?
Right.
So a publicity stunt to kind of introduce her country album. So good for her, huh?
Yeah, I think it's great. I love it. It's good sound, and obviously the kids are eating it up.
Cool.
And there's also been like a lot of controversy, around well, you don't hear a lot about Black people in country. There are Black people in country, but not in like the popular or mainstream, I guess. It's getting more and more.
Fuck around.
But also like, country music, they think it's all white or whatever, but it's actually originated from the Black community like years ago. And of course, like white people do, we stole it and slapped our name on it, and
Yeah, well, two things about my sister Lady B from the Beehive. I want to gossip and you ain't hear it from me, but I heard that a Texas radio station was like, nah, we're not doing that. We don't do Beyonce here. But the music is so awesome. I think they should at least give it a shot to play her music. Sometimes you need to just put the damn microphone down and let somebody else teach you something. You know what I mean? Because it's really good from what I heard.
Yeah. Well, did you know that hi Bertha?
Yeah.
Did you know that Beyonce sang with the Dixie Chicks years ago? Yeah, so back when the Chicks were still Dixie, because that's something that's changed. And them being in country music, they had made a comment about the president, and then they got like blacklisted and all that from country music, and it was kind of big to do. But right around that time as well, Beyonce sang a song with them. I don't remember what song it was, but they sang together. And I know like the leads of the Dixie Chicks, or the Chicks, she really just loves Beyonce, and she really loved working with her.
Yeah. I mean, I just have to say I love her. She's a powerful force to be reckoned with. And my Bertha said, "Yep, they got canceled."
Probably one of the first. I mean, I wonder if that was kind of one of the first big. I'm sure there were plenty of like getting canceled before, but I almost kind of feel like maybe that was one of the first like
the shade
cancelings that happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, a part of the spirituality part. They say Miss B is a witch. And they also say that she's a part of the Illuminati. And that's just what I hear. I ain't one to gossip, and you ain't hear from me, but that's a part of the spirituality part on that piece of pop culture, Miss Bonnie Violet. Put that in Bonnie Violet.
Well, and I don't know if that's spirituality or more about religion and politics. Like that's causing that sort of like rhetoric, or the witch hunt, so to speak. The witch hunt, Salem witch trials, and all that happened a long time ago, but there's still modern day witch hunts. They're not always talking about witches, but
Are you a good witch or a bad witch?
Witch is a witch.
Okay, moving along. So then we have Miss Jennifer Lopez announces This Is Me, now the tour. What do you think about Jennifer Lopez in the pop culture eye?
I don't know. I mean, she's not in like the like Man in the Eye. I feel like the things that I've seen are more around like Ben Affleck. But she did recently, didn't she recently like publicly like talk about her non-binary?
Ooh, no, I didn't hear about that.
I thought she shared a story about like her, and I don't remember the term. I'm a horrible queer person, but like somebody who's non-binary, and like the same status of like a niece or a nephew.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the term is a nibbling, I think. But anyway, I think she had talked about that. That's all I know as far as like queer pop culture-ish, I guess.
Well, I have to say, because her music is so fabulous, you know, she's got these great beats and her voice is awesome. I love the way she moves, and her fashion is always on point. Plus, she has an amazing movies, which she has another one coming out right now. So I think Jennifer Lopez is still a major factor and still in the front running of when it comes to being still relevant in any culture. It's not just the queer culture, but you know, J-Lo, she's J-Lo.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I think as far for music, that's what I've got.
What about, you know, I mean, I think another thing that's kind of been in the pop culture conversation again is Lil Nas X, and, you know, kind of not coming out, but really making a public statement about being gay and Christian. And then also then having that like Jesus song, I think it's called JC or something. But I know a lot of people were up in arms about, you know, that video and stuff. And it was really interesting because the Devil made a cameo again, which, you know, the Devil was in the first Montero, you know, the Call Me By Your Name. What was it? Call Me By Your Name? Call Me By.
You know, I don't listen to Lil Nas, child.
You don't listen to Lil Nas X?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it was like he was like stripping, like and lap dancing. He took a strip pole down to hell and then gave the Devil a lap dance. But it was like a huge, like, you know, all the Christians got up in arms, but a lot of
don't blame them.
Well, yes and no, but I mean, it's like that's what they tell us. So it's like, you know, they're always telling, you know, there are certain parts of Christian faith that you know, that is constantly telling gay people and queer people that we're going to hell and we are demons and of the devil and all that sort of stuff. So it's like, fine, then this is, you know what I mean? Like, then just kind of embrace it or whatever. And kind of, I mean, I think that's how we have to do that in order to kind of heal. And I think to really like, you know, hopefully push to change the narratives of things. Bertha D has a comment. I haven't read it yet, but let's go ahead and go with it. Do you want to read it?
Says one day y'all should break down all the letters and what they mean on Legitimaquois and Spectrum. I just saw a vid on someone wanting to be called Zer. I want to be mindful, but damn y'all.
It's a lot to come up with, and it's also, you know, I think there's a lot of folks who want to understand that LGBTQ plus, you know, LGBTQIA plus 2S, you know, community. And that's kind of like the whole thing. I don't think you can, my aunt and I have a podcast that we were doing, and she's a conservative Christian. And so she was feeling, and a lot of her people who would listen to our show also wanted to know about like LGBTQIA. And I felt like, oh my God, like, how can I do this justice in one podcast? Because even like, you know, as you know, and as we all know, like gender and sexual orientation, you know, is really fluid, and it's also it's a very personal thing, and it's built upon your own perspective of yourself and of the world. And, you know, just like with anything, words can mean different things for different people. And so I think just like when we work with anybody of a different culture than ourselves or somebody from a different point of view, we have to be aware that there are some differences, but we also have to be careful not to just place assumptions on that person too, because they have this sort of difference. And so I think at the end of the day, all it really comes down to is being able to have like an honest conversation with somebody. and really get to know who they are. And once you get to know who they are, it's not that, I don't think it's that challenging.
But I also feel, Bonnie, that it is categorizing a whole group of people because
but to folks who aren't us, just it's all the same thing. But it's very different. It's very different living as a gay boy versus like a trans girl. Like I can
well, see,
personally
I
say
beg differ in some spectrums of it because me as a post-op transsexual, I don't truly identify with some of the other things that are
what
being out there that are truly being called trans. I just, those are
yeah.
just my personal consumption. So, but I don't pass judgment. I
And you
don't I
just
don't appreciate being I don't appreciate I do appreciate everyone being who they are, but I feel that not everybody is exactly trans.
well, and like, but we don't have to agree with people.
Right.
We don't have to, and I don't think the goal is ever to understand. I think when we set ourselves up to fully understand another person, we're going to always fail. And so I don't believe that you have to understand somebody to have compassion for them, because that's
Of
part of the
course.
problem, is that a lot of people like, well, until I understand you, I don't like you, or I have this judgment or whatever, which I don't know if people are super conscious that that's what's happening, but that's what they're doing because they're waiting to get to a point where they can understand and they go, oh, okay, I get it. Now I can be cool with you, instead of just be cool with them, have compassion because they're other human, we're just human
Yes, I
beings,
agree.
and work to come
Everybody
to
does
know
need
one
compassion.
another. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just don't feel like we have to understand
In
each
a
other.
box is what I say. I don't think we all need to be put in a box. Um,
So,
let's get back to we're thank you for your comment, Bertha. We truly appreciate that.
and maybe we'll have to tackle it sometime.
We'll unpack, huh?
Maybe we'll have to tackle it sometime.
We'll unpack it. Yes, we'll unpack it. Then we got Miss Taylor Swift in the pop
Mm.
culture.
Who's that?
Who's that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I think Taylor Swift is actually kind of what prompted me to want to start to have this conversation, in part. In particular, the way that she showed up at the Grammys, in the sense that, like, there's some really serious things happening in the world right now with war and, genocides and, multiple places throughout the country. And a lot
Yes.
of these things have been going on for a while, but people are finally paying attention. Some more people are, I guess. And so I just felt like Taylor seemed really tone deaf, and like she was just kind of in this like, like, I don't know, just like in this mood of getting awards and all this sort of stuff. Meanwhile, Annie Lennox is singing a Sinead O'Connor song, Deceased Fire, and,
Mhm.
Tracy Chapman and Joni Mitchell. And, I think there's just like all these other people then are like actually really trying to put something out and say something that matters in the world. And she just like, and it's happening like in the same room. And I just think that there's something, that's not clicking there. It's kind of like with the Super Bowl, how, the Super Bowl just happened, and then there were bombs that were dropped during the Super Bowl, $7 million for a commercial spot, for the Super Bowl. Like, that money could be going in so many different places.
Yeah, I think back in my day, and I'm always going to go there. We had We Are the World. We have Angelina Jolie, who is doing a lot for the African continent and bringing what she knows back to the United States. Her adoption of all these different children. Madonna doing the same thing, breaking these cultural barriers to show unification. The We Are the World, the donations, and just these platforms are so strong and they can make such an impact.
Yeah.
But we are focusing. We're being made to focus on who said what and who's wearing what and what commercial is going to be very popular. But nobody's talking about what happened in Palestine. Nobody's talking about Russia is ready to let us have it.
People are
These are important conversations that they should be talking about and not being afraid to talk about it. Or is
yeah.
it going to take away from their bag? What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think people are scared to say anything because there's always some sort of something that's, you know, somebody's not going to like what he's going to say. And nowadays you have an opportunity to say what you want to say. And I think people also have more power. I think people realize that their audience and like us normal people are like, we matter in their, and even their get in their bag or whatever, you know? So I think that we have more power in general as just people in general, you know, who aren't celebrities or, you know, whatever, who are consumers of this stuff. And so I think people are more concerned that we're going to actually not like them anymore, or not buy their products, or not listen to their music. And so I think they're all just,
we should do more of that.
I think they're chicken shit and, you know, and cowards. But, you know, I don't know if we should, I mean, I'm ready for the day of celebrity to go away.
Yeah, well, wait till I get there first, then you can say go away.
Right.
So,
do you have a desire to be a celebrity?
You know, I think I want a platform to create love and unification. And I've said this, that is my hope for this podcast, is to reach a platform, to bring a brand where I can promote love, kindness, respect. Don't be afraid to speak your truths, because it's a hard journey to handle, but you also have to be prepared for the reaction. And that's the reason why I was afraid of doing it, because people are crazy out here these days, you know, but I guess you have to get thick skin. What do you think?
Right. But I think your intention in that isn't to just be famous. It's like,
no, not that.
It's to be a celebrity or be a famous in order to be able to have influence, you know, which I think is, you know, again, it's kind of like checking motive. And I think because we do live in a time in which being famous or getting in the mainstream, getting a part of pop culture is a way to actually begin to have a platform, to begin to have an impact that seems big enough. But, you know, I think we have, and I know we've talked about this before, that, you know, like we are happy with whoever is going to end up coming across this. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we also have some talk around the P. Diddy and the Jay-Z scandals. What do you think about that? You think there's anything going on with that? Because that's what they're talking about. They're not talking about he's doing anything good. They're talking about he did some things to another artist, and a lot of other artists are stepping up to throw him under a bus. And then it was marked that Jay-Z is next. Where is the positive? And then I want people to join in. I know, Bertha, you're very smart. You know exactly what's going on. Share your thoughts on what some of this influential people can do to
I think there is maybe a reckoning that's happening. You know, I think there's a reckoning that's happening with people, that you have to have, like, having integrity and transparency, I think is just becoming, it's more and more of a thing. We don't have much privacy anymore. We don't have, you know, like, there's so much of our lives are out in the open. And so, and so I don't think there's room or space for people to be deceitful or to keep things in the dark, which I don't think they should. You know, I think, you know, I don't think that's, like, to talk about the spiritual aspect. You know, I feel like in some ways, you know, maybe there's a reckoning that's happening, that folks need to just be honest about who they are and what they do and how they do it. And also, like, maybe change some behaviors. It just sucks because some of that stuff, like, just because you're gay or you're having sex with men or whatever, that's not a bad thing in and of itself. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just all the other stuff that comes along with it.
So do you know, we, as, you know, Black Americans, we are using the term woke a lot, and it's upsetting a lot of people. And I think spiritually that's what the world is experiencing now. A lot of people are being awakened to a lot of the things in the world that just don't fly anymore, you know, and we need to do something about it. So I don't want to say it's bad for people to, you know, shame on you for, of course, shame on you if it is true. I'm not saying if it's true, if it's not.
Right.
But what I think I lost my train of thought. But what I'm saying is that if this is important, then use some of the positive influence that you have to build, to build things better.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, at the end of the day, we're all like humans, and like we need to take accountability and acknowledge for ourselves, but we're all also learning. But I think when we're, sometimes when we're on these platforms or when we're in these positions, we feel like we have to be certain things that might not be what we are. And, we feel like we're doing it even for the greater good, or this is the way that it has to be in order for me to get my paycheck, or to, do these other good things. And I think at some point in time, we have to have integrity. We have to, practice what we preach. We have to, walk the walk and talk the, walk the walk and talk the talk. Is that what it is? Walk the
yeah,
talk.
walk the shit or get off the pot. No. What do you think about the influx of refugees coming into the country, and how is that affecting you over there in your neck of the woods?
Personally, I don't believe in, I don't think that we should have I'm not a big fan of borders in general, just because we created an arbitrary line. Like I'm just not a big fan of that. And just because in that is like part of the problem, right? If you happen to be born in the right country, in the right family, with the right skin, with the right whatever, then you're afforded different experiences. So just because a person is born in a poor country in South America, or, in the Congo, or in, any other place where that's different, or than say what America has to offer, or many other places, like I don't think a border should keep people from allowing them to have access to a better life.
I think I agree to. I think there needs to be an equal balance. But when you have a powerful country like America, who has all of this power, and then we're unequally, unbalancing the scale to at least have some of these other countries to have these experiences, or to educate them to understand what we did to better this, give it an equal take thing. I think that even for me, I would love to move to another country just to have a different experience of what that country is like. And I shouldn't have to be not being able to go in because you don't want my skin there, or you don't want my creed there.
Right.
I think there's a lot of things that hinder those experiences for people to even go and meet somebody and maybe fall in love with somebody and have a family and create these things. I think there's, like you said, there's too many boundaries out there, too many too many walls to have human experiences the way that we think they should be. So I agree with you, Bonnie, on that.
Well, and I think it's really hard to know what's actually happening. I don't know that things are all there. There's some difference, of course, right? But I think a lot of the challenges that have been there all along. It's just now all of a sudden, just like we're kind of talking about the Congo and Gaza and Ukraine and stuff, is like, it's like we're just talking about it now. It doesn't mean it just started, And so I think that I don't know. I think there's this hysteria, or this like whatever, that politics is kind of making it out to be, but also like, I don't know what it's like to live closer to the border. Like, I don't know, but anyway, I still just don't think it's, personally, I'm not a fan of borders. I believe that we live in a world that there is enough for everyone. I believe that we all have it in us, that if we lived in a society and in a community in which, we were receiving, we would have no problem with, contributing. I think it would be a natural way of contributing. The fact that like we can't afford to eat, we can't afford to live somewhere.
That, because there's something that I think that just kind of irritated me. When you mentioned that there's enough, there is not enough, because if that's the case, then we wouldn't be eating lab chickens, because my chicken tastes like plastic. It does not have a natural taste to it. I don't know if it's
I think that's a distribution issue. That's a greed issue, but it's not the fact that like on the globe, that we don't have everything that we need in order for all of us to have a beautiful existence. You know, it's our governments, it's our you know, vastly different money, you know, like I think that's like the big thing. You have people who have billions of dollars, you have people who drop $7 million, you know, even churches to you know, put an ad at the Super Bowl, and yet, you know, there are people starving or without housing or without medical care, like probably that are in those churches or in those spaces. You know what I mean? We're just
packing
not
stadiums with thousands and billions of dollars
well, and
that
there's lots
be
of
used for human aid.
yeah. And
Instead of a
there's
football game, it should be a rally for human aid. We're
yeah,
we're
and
we're not thinking about the right things.
it's hard because we can't just like flip a switch and make it that way, because we have
Vote for me.
years and years and centuries of like causing harm. So most of us are dysfunctional, we're harmed, we're hurt, we're in pain,
Hurt people.
we're in desperation, we're in fear, and being in all of those states for long periods of time, it doesn't afford us to be able to bring our best, so that we're, you know, we're making the best decisions for ourselves, or we're not feeling like we have to do desperate things in order to survive or be okay, or just being, you know what I mean? Like I just feel like it's really like it's a lot when you start to think about it all, and I don't think there's like one big answer, but you know, like there's just so much, we try to control so much and create
You know,
all of this barrier, and I believe that we're all connected, like spiritually we're all one.
I was reading, you know, I'm in school for my bachelor's in science for project management. So I've been taking this class on um, Egyptian tombs and treasures, and I'm reading about the pharaohs and the mastabas and how some of these pharaohs began to mass all of this wealth, and what they used it for was to create these elaborate pyramid tombs for the afterlife in the
Mm.
name of spirituality for the afterlife. But yet they went into these other parts of the country and massacred and killed these people and hoarded their gold. So it's not that it's new, and it's not that America has done this only. This has been going on for centuries of this type of behavior.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess that's just what it is. It's learned behavior. I mean,
Yeah, it's hard because I think there's a level of acceptance, but I think my spirituality and I feel like part of my purpose in my existence is, while I'm here for the small and limited time and in the small and limited way that I am, to do my best to try to make the world a little bit better place for more people, if even just a little, you know? And I feel like that's all I have the power to do, you know? And I feel like I believe that's my calling, but I think, I mean, I don't want to tell everybody, but I think that's our calling. I think that's why, you know, some people believe that we just keep coming back, or, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
I just feel like that's part of it, is we're trying to get to a place in which we can actually show love and respect for one another, and not be fearful of one another, and to be able to be generous and kind and all these sorts of things that I know that deep down within us is more our nature than what has developed in us and has been passed down from generation to generation due to systems and structures and violence and all that stuff. I don't know where I'm going with all this, but
Well, you know, yeah, I had something and then I lost it. Um, you know, my sister and I, we went to a movie last night. We went to go see Bob Marley's movie last night. And it was so cute to see her she's, yay, Bob, and she's singing.
There's a Bob Marley movie?
Yes, it came out yesterday, as a matter
I
of
would
fact.
love to see that.
And this is my sister's husband, but she could keep that Bob, but I would definitely take the new one. This actor, he was gorgeous. But I really have to say, I value her opinion on how this movie went. Oh, there she goes. You know, Bertha comments, you both are very brave, and this platform is a tool. It's hard being heterosexual too. Yeah. And female and black and educated. People just don't know how to even say hi. I ask for your name to be safe. That's powerful, Bertha.
Yeah, and very, very well said. And I think that's a big part of it is a lot of us are, are hurting in a number of different ways, and hurt people, and healed people heal people. And
Yeah.
It is, I feel like I just even think like growing up, I knew who my neighbors were. We liked, we knew each other by names. We shared things, like I feel like the older I've gotten, and I don't know how much of it is around oldness, how much of it is around
around oldness,
being trans, but I think it's also like the state of the world. Yes. Is that like, now I live in this apartment complex. I've been here for a year, and I've never gotten to know any of my neighbors, and I've maybe only said hi to 2 people.
Have they said hi to you?
Yes, only like 2 of us, because they were like walking their dog or something, because I too am just so stuck in my own world. I'm also scared of the world, and so it's like I know like my eyes are down. I'm not trying to be seen, you know what I mean? And it's sad because we're all running around feeling disconnected, desperately wanting to connect, desperately wanting to be a part of, and yet we just struggle to do that.
I was going to share that, Bob Marley that movie was so inspirational, because I enjoyed the music, but I never knew the man. And my sister is a heartthrob of his, and she knows his struggles, you know what I mean? But just watching just the way that movie was about his spirituality, connected with his brand and his desire for healing the world, not only the world, his people, it was just powerful. And how he had such a huge platform. And when he spoke with people, he spoke of love and just, and it was also kind of a riddle because I didn't understand, the dialect. But that is a platform that I would strive to have. And I think everybody in the world should carry a message in their hearts like Bob Marley had. Right. They tried to get him too. So, you know what I mean? It's out there. Evil is just out there.
Yeah. And I would love to watch that and just to learn a little bit more about him, because all I know is from his music. But I would say everything you just said is what I feel like I felt in his music. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't feel like I had to know him or know his story to like, I feel like
it comes through. Huh?
I knew that already. Right. Like, I know I'd read some of his things, his music. Like, I was like, that is not that, like, the creator of that has, like
masses. You see the masses with the message. He had a message, and it came through.
Do you feel
that's powerful?
I feel like, do you think that we all have that kind of, purpose even in our own little ways, because we don't have to sing music, we don't have to be a popular artist to have
some people carry the message through their art, some people carry it through their fashion. They make pieces, and then I love some fashion, and I've seen some pieces that celebrate love and creativity, and
that's Africa. A way of doing service.
They bring these things through their message, through their art. Yeah. Art is a huge, and I think Bob Marley said that the message is in the art. You got to have a message, and it carries through there. Now, keep in mind, your message reflects who you are. So if you out there talking about some, get them hoes, pack that bag, that's the way you're being perceived, is what your message is. So we want to refrain from using those types of messages, because I think that message is what the younger generation is receiving. You wanted to say something?
That's the disalignment. That's the like being unaligned with yourself and like what I would say your spirit or your higher self or your purpose. It's like there's this contradiction, which we see happen or this dissonance that a lot of us have that we're just not aware of, where it's like I believe something different in my mind, and yet I'm doing these other things that are not incongruent with, like they don't match up. And so that's lacking integrity, you know. And that's what I've really appreciated about recovery and getting in recovery, was that it allowed me to remove some of the distraction, because that's what drugs and alcohol was for me. It was a distraction, it was escape, it was a disassociation, but also like when I had to recover, it robbed me of so much of my life and my ability and what I could do, and I just kept falling short. And so
Yeah.
but once I removed that drugs and alcohol, then I actually had time to like reflect and not and like seek outside help from people, and really doing an honest inventory of like who I am and what I do and what I've done, what's been done to me, and like what do I want to do different? You know, what do I need to do to undo some of these things if I can, or to at
Yeah.
least continue?
You know, for me, you had mentioned that you don't speak to your neighbors. I know every single one of my neighbors in my building,
You're,
and
you're
I have to give some of it. I have to give credit to my little puppy because he's so freaking
Mm,
cute. Baxter is just
yeah.
adorable. But I know the security guards. I know, you know what I mean? And I've never
Mhm.
had any problems with anyone in my building. And when I walk out, I say hello. And
Yeah.
when they walk past me, they say hello. I have security in the building and they say hello. Um, I think like Bertha had mentioned, like some people just don't even say hi, you know, and
Yeah.
I lived in New York and that was like, if you could get a hi out of somebody, that would make your whole month. You didn't even have to worry about your day. That was your whole month.
Mhm.
And I forget that the world is turning so cold, but yet you don't know what somebody is going through in the day just to say hello.
Yeah.
Because if somebody would have said hello, it probably would have helped me feel a little bit more comfortable in my skin, as if I'm being seen.
Yeah. No,
I'm
totally.
being appreciated for being on this earth. Does that make sense for you,
Mhm.
Bonnie?
Yeah, yeah. And I think my transition has played a little bit of a role in that. But because I remember when I was first moved to San Francisco, and I was on the Muni, which is like the train, you know, the train,
Okay.
the subway, you know, the trains that are in the city of San Francisco. And actually, think we were on the BART. I was with my boyfriend at the time, and we were getting ready to go over to Oakland. So we
Mhm.
were on the BART. But anyway, I was talking to people on the train, and he was like, shut up, stop talking, like don't talk to people you don't know, that, you know, like there was just like this idea that you don't do that, you know. And part of me at that time, I was just like, I'm sitting in a train next to people for like the next 15 to 20 minutes. Why would I not talk to them? You know, like we're in the same space. It feels so weird to not, but it also feels countercultural
Mhm.
to to I
You have
guess to
to comfort
engage.
zone just to say hi.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's just like when you get an Ubers, you know, a lot of times it's like, do you talk to the driver? Does the driver talk to you? And there's also just like these social expectations, which are often, you know, not necessarily spoken.
Is that a notification on your phone,
I
Bonnie?
know it's my phone, and I
You bust
know,
me down. Don't do notifications. Don't do.
I know it was my phone. Not I did everything on my computer, but not my phone. Stupid
I'm
bitch.
sorry. You were saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I
So,
don't know anymore.
but you know, now this is something I want to ask you from your Caucasian side of your lifestyle.
Oh, my lifestyle.
Yeah, Caucasian experience in this
Okay,
lifetime. We'll
got
put
you.
it that way, to your Caucasian experience. So I live here, as you know, I live on the north side of Chicago, and sometimes, you know, and I grew up here, and I moved away, and I forgot how segregated Chicago is.
Mm,
Chicago is very segregated, and it can be segregated through segregation, through segregation, through segregation. You know what I mean? To this day and age. So
mhm.
I notice as a Black woman, when I walk around here, white people seem to put their head down.
Mm.
Now, is that something that white people are taught to do when Black people come past? Or is that just a thing? It
I
baffles me.
don't I don't
Is it
think
just
it's
in my
been
head? Is it
no,
in my
I don't know that it's in your head. I don't think that we were like told that, but we were told that. Like we were
break it
told
down, sweetie? So
so we were told that in media. We were told that in how they portrayed people different from ourselves. And the stories that people have told us about people different from ourselves. And, so I think some of that, it does it's from not from like the unknown, but I do think that oftentimes there is probably maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say exactly why that's the case, but I know it's like, I know it's the case. I think that's, I'm not that I need to confirm what you say, but
Yeah.
I hear what you say. And I do think it's something that we are taught and told, but not directly. Like our parents didn't sit us down and say, when Black people walk by, you just don't look at them.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
Right.
eyes down, make no eye contact, like there's not that. But, I know that I grew up, because I grew up in a mostly white area. There were brown folks, mostly Mexican folks. There was like one Black family in town for a little while who was friends with us. I'm Mexican, but I'm super white. And so I was very aware of the fact that if my skin was darker and I was living if my dad was more connected to his Mexican roots, that I would probably have a different experience in that town, and how people would look at me and perceive me, and what opportunities would be afforded me because of that. And so I think some of it does depend on where you're at in the world, but I think segregation, that separation by color, I mean, even colorism is a thing even when you're in communities of color. You could be, in a Black community and there's still like light skin versus dark skin, or there's like there was a thing on AI, talk about pop culture, that I saw about Barbie, and you do like a Barbie search about AI in different countries and stuff, and all of them are lighter skinned people. And then there's also some very problematic accessories and things that come up through AI as well, which I think is, they talk about it being a limitation of AI, but I do think it speaks to, and it reflects to our programming as well. And we have to do a lot to change that, because a lot of the programming happens when we're not even paying, like we're not even paying attention, I know I had a lot of, I remember, this is kind of, I always cringe to share this, but I remember when I first kind of had a moment of realizing my racism. When I was like 18 years old, I moved out to Phoenix, Arizona. And it was like the first time I kind of like moved away from Idaho, And so I was in a city where there was a lot more people. So it was a huge culture shock in the sense that I was always surrounded by people. But I remember having this like moment of, if I was in a room, like a waiting room, and there was a white person and a Black person, at that time in my life, I probably would have talked to the white person first. And I was like,
you think that's because of familiarity?
I was like, that's fucked up. But I'm all, what, there was like an awareness of like, that's fucked up, but I know that's what I would have done in this situation. It's vastly different now. But, at the time, I was 18, like, and it took me, I think, getting away, because I never would have said I had a racist bone in my body, or a racist thought, or, any sort of bias. But it was there, and as I've gotten older, I continue to find biases and, either preconceived assumptions that I don't even have to be I don't have to be cognizant of, that are happening. But one thing I do want to say that I love is, I love Black women.
I know that's right.
Because, well, and I love how they show up in the world and how they've shown up in my life. I'll just to give it, like, whenever I get a compliment in public, it's almost always a Black woman. If anyone is going to tell me that I look good, or make a comment about my style or about me when I'm feeling out of sorts, it's almost always a Black woman or a Black person in general. And I walked around San Francisco with my buddy Mark, who you've talked to a little bit, your baby daddy.
My baby daddy.
And we were in San Francisco. we were in San Francisco a few years ago, and I was in drag, and this was like the first time he was with me, and it was like Pride. So there was just like people everywhere, and I was walking around, I was a fucking drag queen. So everybody's wanted to stop me and talk to me and take pictures, which I freaking love. But at the end of the day, I asked him, I was like, did you notice anything? Was there anything common about today? And he was like, yeah, he's like, one, there were more, and San Francisco is not a largely Black populated community. But he's like, almost everybody who was nice and who like engaged with you were Black folks, you know, like I really got a lot of life and a lot of support from people. And I don't think most white people even pay attention to that, and to say in kind of a general way.
I want to chime in on that. So, coming from a Black mother, they are the epitome of strength and truth. And, you know, growing up as a Black male, she made sure I did not show up the way that I wasn't supposed to. I was, you know, I remember I told you, stop giggling. If she raised a Black man, she wanted a Black man in her family. And that was what she wanted until I told her different.
Right.
And she had to pivot. But through that, I learned grace. I learned humbleness. I learned to hold my head up high no matter what it was I was showing up for. You walk in there with your smile on your face and your head high and your body clean. Because she always said, you go to a doctor with some dirty underwear, you know, whatever. But, and I love that, you know, and I have 6 sisters. I was raised with 6 sisters. So these sisters show up. Do you understand me? And I am so proud of the culture that I have when it comes to the Black women in my family, because they're nurturers. They're strong. They have strengths beyond belief. You know what I mean? And I look at my sisters and marvel because they're doing it. You know what I mean? And they're doing it.
One of the most marginalized group of people. And yet
what bothers me the most for them is the fear for their Black sons. That's the only thing I think that I see that makes me sad for Black women, is the fear of something happening to their Black sons.
Bertha D has another comment. Do you want to read it? I can read it. Yeah. So Bertha D says, traditions, conditioning, and trauma are all passed down consciously and unconsciously. We're visual people. Even if things aren't said, our eyes are our primary teachers. Very well said.
You know, I would really like to have Bertha come on the show one of these days. So because she is a therapist, a social worker, and just some amazing things that come from Bertha. And I would really like one day, Bertha, we would love to get you on and share some of your experience, strength, and hope. Through the heterosexual eyes.
We can have a third window easy on here. It just takes a little bit of whatever, but that would be great. And I think maybe even, you know, I know that she had the questions around LGBTQ, and maybe it would be good if we answered specific questions that people might have. It might help us point it in a certain direction. I don't know, that could be a good conversation, or it doesn't even have to be about that. But yeah, I'd love to have her on sometime.
Yeah. What do you think about Bertha's comment? What do you want to share about it?
It's, I mean, 100. I think what she said better. She said better what I was trying to say. So she was able to be succinct and get it done. And I was just like, but I, you know, as I do. But we are coming up on, we have about 5 minutes left. It's just kind of a,
okay. So let's brainstorm on what she said. You guys are a big act to follow. I'm sure you can hold your own, Miss Bertha D.
I think she'll be just fine.
Yeah. So what do you think we're gonna like to discuss next week? So we're gonna invite you, Bertha, and all the other people that join in on our podcast to give us some suggestions what we would like to you would like us to discuss next week. What
Yeah.
do you think? What are your thoughts on what you want to talk about?
I haven't had much thoughts about like specific conversations to have. I think we could talk more about like transition, like actual like transition, because I don't think we've talked a lot about that, like specifically, like maybe like surgeries and pills and, you know, like more of like that aspect of things. But I want to do some reaction videos with you. Like those are the things that are kind of like forefront in my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, a topic doesn't come to mind right now. Do you have an idea for a topic?
No, I just wanted to just throw it out there to invite, our followers to
Mhm.
write in and tell us what you're interested in having conversation about. I think we really want to thank Bertha tonight for joining us and really bringing some feedback in. Truly appreciate you. Um,
Yes.
and I think that's all I got, Bonnie. What do you want to?
I mean, I think we could probably just call it a show, huh? Call it an episode.
Wrap.
And let me put on our little behind the scenes
You gonna play that for
camera.
the people? Oh, you wrong.
Anyway, I was gonna try, you know, like to kind of actually have it accurate, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. But anyway, let's just say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
You
Or they say
know-
bye.
Bye.